Listen, everybody tells you that launching an online course is profitable, fun, and so liberating because it is the first step towards building a sustainable business and building a product that's also scalable in your creative business. And while all of that is true, what most people don't tell you, and maybe because it's not exactly Instagram friendly or sales friendly, is that you're gonna paint less or whatever other creative medium that you do. If you're a maker, like a ceramicist, you're gonna do your creative act less. You're gonna write more, and your social media follower count means nothing without an email list or without having a strong community built on actual human connections. So, let's talk about the 7 brutally honest truths about launching your art course that nobody else will say out loud on Instagram. And truth number 4 and 6 might actually shock you. Actually, truth number 4 is gonna really shock you and surprise you. And truth number 6, you're gonna be surprised that I even admitted this on camera. Listen, I've done dozens upon dozens of launches in my art business over the last 7.5 years of being a full time artist. And I've done launches for my physical products in Blue Pine Arts, where we make these beautiful handmade watercolor paints and paper products. And I've also done launches for when I was teaching Skillshare. And then I've done launches for my own courses and my memberships hosted on my own platform and not a third party platform. And don't get me wrong, most of these launches were all incredibly successful. And the truths that I'm about to tell you, I wish another artist had told me these truths before I launched my first digital product on my own platform, which was my watercolor membership. Right, let's get into it. Truth number 1, you are going to paint less for a while. Or if you're a maker, then whatever creative medium it is that you're doing, you're going to do less of that for a while. The truth is, when you first create your online course or your membership, it's not just about, making those paintings and filming it, editing it, and then putting it up in a product on a platform like System.io or Kajabi or Teachable. Apart from that, you will be setting up your launch systems as well, which usually means more screen time, writing your sales pages, your checkout pages, your emails, setting up your funnels, and especially setting up all of that tech on the back end. But I look at these as essential sales systems that are going to allow me to make more sales from my course for years and years to come. And that's also going to help me put my course into the hands of the people that really need it. And these things are important because you have to remember that you're not just an artist, you're also a creative business owner and the CEO of your small business. So think of it this way: once your systems are built, you get more painting time back and also a way to effortlessly keep making income with your course over and over and over again. The reality is, businesses run in sprints, and that also includes an art business and a creative business. So, when you're creating your new course and when you're setting up all of these launch systems, think of it as a sprint season in your business where there is a certain end date to it. Truth number 2, copywriting is your new superpower because learning how to write sales copy, learning how to communicate the transformation that you're giving your people in your course, in your emails, in your social media posts, maybe even in your YouTube channel, and especially on your sales page. And most importantly, learning how to write storytelling emails. These are all skills that are going to pay off for years and years to come. So, reframe that might help you is to realize that copywriting is creative work too. And I don't know about you, but I actually really love writing, so I cherish this part in my creative business. So treat this as a creative time for your entire business instead of feeling bad that you're not getting that studio creative time. Truth number 3, your email list determines your income. Because plain and simple, if you don't have an email list, then you don't have the foundations for predictable income. You have to face the reality that when you don't have people on your email list who are eager to learn more from you, because what happens when people join your email list? Even if they join it through your lead magnet, these people have told you that they want to hear more from you, that they want to hear more storytelling, more value and education in your emails, and they're also open to you promoting your products. And so, if you've built your business entirely on Instagram, which I used to be that person too, so I don't blame you for that. If there was one thing that I wish I could go back is I would have started my email list a lot sooner. However, the reality remains that your email list is your strongest marketing asset, and it allows you to reach your people in a much more targeted way than social media. We've had dozens of artists launch their online courses and their products, and all the time, there's one pattern that I see repeating is that the artists who have made more than $10,000, right? The artists who made $14,000 and the artists who made $55,000, all these artists came to us with an email list. Even if they'd been ghosting that email list, that was totally fine. We were able to revive it. But over and over and over again, I see that the thing that separates the artists who have the big launch numbers, the big income numbers, and the ones that don't have those big numbers is the presence of an email list. And the funniest thing is, the artists who did get the big income numbers in their launches, they didn't necessarily have a huge Instagram following. Which brings me to truth number four is your big social media numbers on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook are not going to mean big numbers in your launches. So let me tell you a story of two artists that came to work with us inside of Creative Course Launchpad because they wanted that one-on-one custom strategy help and they also wanted tech help in setting up all of their backend systems. So artist A, she came to us with 97,000 followers. Her gouache painting process reels were all going viral over and over again. She had already taught over 35 classes on Skillshare. So she had an experience of teaching, she had that presence, and she had made herself known that she is a gouache teacher, but she had zero email list when she came to us. Okay, so remember these numbers. Artist B, when she came to us, she had less than 1,500 followers on Instagram. She had never put out any teaching content either on Instagram or even an online class on Skillshare or Udemy or even on YouTube. She didn't have any posts that were going viral, and she also had zero email list when she came to us. Both of them launched their course twice in our work with us. Who do you think got the most number of students? Now, your mind would be thinking that, oh, it's artist A for sure, because she has these big numbers, her reels are going viral. She's already taught so many classes on Skillshare, so she obviously has exposure over there. And artist B, I mean, how? Like she obviously could not have gotten more students. Now, here's the bits that's going to blow your mind. Both of them got the exact same number of students in their course. So, how did that happen? I'll tell you how. It's because artist A, even though she was growing her Instagram and she was going viral again and again, and she was putting classes after classes after classes on Skillshare and still struggling to make $200 per month. She had gone viral and built the big numbers, but there was no real human communication. And we were only able to find that out once we did a launch debrief. And we were like, what happened? Like, you have the big numbers, so how did that not convert into sales? And that's when we discovered that even though she was putting so much energy into going viral, into editing her art process videos, but she wasn't developing actual human connections with the people in her community on Instagram. And artist B, even though she had all those really small and tiny numbers, she was developing actual human connections with the people in her Instagram community. So, what I want you to take away from all of this stuff is all sales, all sales come based on a genuine human connection. If you're a creative business owner and if you have an online business, all sales, especially in your online courses, are going to come because they're built on actual human connection and a genuine bond between you and your community, and not because of these vanity metrics on Instagram. So focus on inviting conversations with your people. Use Instagram stories. They're really awesome. Put polls and put question boxes and share like the genuine behind the scenes of who you are as a human. and share your controversial opinions. I'm not talking about sharing political opinions. I'm talking about sharing things that you stand for. For example, as a watercolor artist, I believe that using white paint is not a bad thing. Neither is using black paint. Both of them have their places, and I actually love using them both in my paintings. And I love using opaque colors in my watercolor paintings. Now, this is a controversial opinion that a lot of traditional artists are probably not going to agree with me. But when I share it with people, it sparks curiosity, and then people DM me, and then we have a chat about it. And because we've developed that genuine connection, and because I've shared these controversial opinions on Instagram before or in my emails before, people start talking. People feel that permission that they can actually talk to me about it, because they probably were secretly feeling like that also. And then there's that bond that exists. And so when I put out my membership, or when I open up my courses for launches, people feel that they can trust me, and the actual sale that happens is a lot more easier because they know, like, and trust me. All right. All the things that I shared with you just now leads me to truth number 5, which is that your pretty process content that you're posting on your social media platforms is not going to cut it when it comes to making sales in your online course. It breaks my heart to say this, but time lapses of your art process, your pretty posts with fancy Canva graphics, they don't really sell on Instagram. And don't get me wrong, like I wish it was not this way. I remember in the early days of Instagram, back in like 2017 to even 2019, I would post just one picture of my painting, or I would post like a 1 minute time lapse of my painting process on Instagram with no captions or anything. It was just in a square format too, and also a little blurry. I would have loads and loads of people, watching it, saving it, leaving all these comments about how much it helped them. But now, look at how much noise is there. There are a lot more artists who have stepped up, and they are sharing all of this content. And while that might look great, and you might even find it helpful in that moment, but just make sure that your content is not just entertaining, but it's also educating. And you must remember that your content needs to move people off of Instagram onto your email list, where you can cultivate a deeper relationship with them. Otherwise, you're just going to end up having views and all those vanity numbers, but not really sales when you open up your doors and when you launch. Oh, and the other thing that you also need to remember is that when you're getting up to launch, don't just open your doors and just say, ta-da, here it is, the course is open. What you want to be doing in your free content that you're putting out is also showing the building in public content, which is on your Instagram stories and your reels. You're talking to people about your whole behind the scenes process of building your digital course. You are polling people. You can ask people, hey, I'm thinking of painting this thing in the next module of my online course. Do you want me to paint this reference picture or this reference picture? So that way you are creating awareness, and you're warming up people who are the right fit for your course. You're warming them up that this is there, this she's working on it for me. Oh, this sounds interesting. And then when you open the course up during your launch time, your people who are the right fit are going to be warmed up, and they're going to be ready to buy your course. Truth number 6, the workload is real. All right, but it doesn't have to burn you out completely. Listen, some 10-hour days are totally normal, especially if you're doing a solo launch, even 14-hour days. But this is just the reality of it. However, that doesn't mean you're broken or you're doing anything wrong or it's going to completely break you. This is just early entrepreneurship, right? So think about the first couple of months or even the first year when you started your creative business. It was a lot of hustle, right? And I honestly don't like hustle. I even hate the word. But when you're creating a new product, expect to be putting more hours into it and expect to be honestly exhausted, really exhausted by the work. But what I want you to know that exhaustion is not really bad. It's when that exhaustion tips over to burnout, that's when things get really gnarly and really ugly. So how do you stop going over that tipping point. First things first, you need to know what are your body's signals to you when it is exhausted. For me, I have a couple of signals. My brain starts feeling like mush and everything just starts feeling blurry. I have unnecessary negative thoughts that come up for no good reason at all. I start feeling a lot of tension in my jaw and at the back of my neck. And the fourth thing that my body signals to me is that I start feeling really cooped up in my house and I start feeling really closed off from my intuition, closed off from clarity. So take a pause and think, what are the exhaustion signals that your body sends you? And when you receive those signals, then take a step back and rest. And by rest, I don't mean doom scrolling on your phone. I mean meaningful rests, because creating a new course and especially launch times are really intense. Let's not beat around the bush about this whole thing. So make sure you take meaningful rests like yoga nidra, which is really, really powerful. I schedule in 30-minute naps, which are just critical in resetting my brain and my nervous system. And honestly, after those 30 minutes, I just feel so much more clear headed and I have this renewed energy to go back to my work and honestly excited. I'm excited to go back to my work. Make sure you go on a walk outside to clear your head or call a friend and just chat for a few minutes. It also helps to completely disconnect from the work for a day or two, and that just clears your mind and gives you a much needed reset. And the whole point of doing this is that you also get to live your life too, right? So when you're working, do the work, be focused, but make sure that you're scheduling in proper, meaningful, restful times that is not scrolling on your phone or looking at another screen. All right, truth number 7. And I really, really wish someone had told me this before my first big launch, my watercolor membership, is that support makes all the difference in the world. When you are getting up for a launch, there are a lot of moving elements. For example, you're writing all of that copy for your sales page, but you also need to design your sales page, right? You're creating all of those Instagram posts, and you're even writing all the emails, but you still need to put your emails in your email platform. You need to design them and you need to send them. If you're creating a community based event like an art challenge, which I highly recommend having some sort of a pre-launch event when you're doing an online course. So during that time also, there's a community, you might need to speak to people, and there's customer support that happens when you're doing a launch. And then there's of course all the tech setup. So for all of this stuff, make sure you find support. And even if you don't have a team yet, a virtual assistant yet, or maybe you don't even have the budget for this, then just know that you can find scrappy support in your immediate circle. It could be your cousins, your spouse, some of your friends, or maybe even your kids who would like to chip in and support you. You can also look for local college kids who probably need some field placement credits or something like that. For example, last year when I was doing my Blue Pine Arts rebranding, I had hired a website designer, but I didn't have a budget for someone who would do my rebranding as well, who would create my new brand book and my brand guidelines. So I was sitting at my table, just stressing over Pinterest, ready to just wing it again, my brand guidelines. That's when one of my students and longtime Blue Pine Arts customer, she reached out and she told me that she and her course partner in Ontario were looking for, they were doing a field placement project, and they asked me if they could do my Blue Pine Arts brand book. And it came at that exact right time. And I was so grateful for this. And I think it was a really beautiful, win-win situation for the both of us, because they were getting their academic requirements met. I was getting a brand book that I needed to give to my website designer. And so that was really, really helpful. So some of the things that you can delegate when you do find a scrappy support system like this is you can delegate design work, like maybe designing your Canva graphics or designing your emails where they're taking the text that you're writing in a Google document and putting it inside of Flowdesk, for example, or whatever email subscriber platform that you're using. You can delegate video editing of your courses or even community help when you're doing your pre-launch event and also some customer support. So I'm telling you all of these truths not to discourage you, but to make you aware that yes, building and launching a course will feel exhausting at times. But what I want you to see is that you're capable of doing this. Because if you've survived the beginning part of you building your art business and all of the uncertainties and the chaos that comes with that part of the journey, then you can absolutely survive this and maybe even thrive in this journey of putting your course out. This is what makes you a CEO artist who is really driven to grow your business and to impact more people. And this is what separates you from other creatives who are just waiting for sales to just magically happen in their business. But what I want you to know is that you are capable of doing this. You are resilient because you've brought your art business this far. So you have resilience and you can handle it. That's what I want you to tell yourself over and over and over again. I can handle it. I can handle it. To wrap up, I'll tell you a story that right now I'm doing a daily YouTube filming challenge. And up until like 4 days ago, I thought this was a complete impossibility. And at the stage of business that I'm in right now, where I'm building a new watercolor trees challenge for my Blue Pine Arts business, I'm getting ready to, do our holiday sale launches. I am also traveling to Thailand for 3 weeks next month. And I'm also supporting my one on one artist clients. So, in the middle of all of this, just the thought of doing a daily YouTube filming challenge and committing to my new YouTube channel in this way was scaring me so much. And I truly, genuinely believe that it's not possible and that it would 100% burn me out. But I realized that this was a limiting belief that I had, adopted because to just keep myself safe because of all the burnouts that I've had in the past. But when I spoke to my friend Mayuri, big shout out to her. She is someone who is really committed to her business where she writes a lot of travel blogs and she has done such inspiring work, and that allowed her to move from Canada to Portugal where she moved with her husband even left his corporate job to join her in the business, and they have this really cute beautiful life being travel bloggers in Portugal. So I called her up, and on the call I was telling her how I really wanted to do this YouTube thing, but I was really scared to commit to it because I was scared of burning out. And I asked her, how did you do it when you had a full-time job of 8 hours? How did you get your blogging business off the ground? And she told me how she would wake up early in the morning and on her commute to work for a whole hour, she would do keyword research and she would do Pinterest design. Then she'd spend 8 hours at her work. Then she'd get back from her work and start working on her blog, where she would do more keyword research, where she would write the blogs, and then she would, keep writing till midnight, and then she'd be up at 5 in the morning the next day. And she did that for years until she brought her business to a place where she could quit her job. And I was shocked and I was like, oh my God, that sounds like a lot. You were doing basically 14 to 16-hour days. Did that not burn you out? And what she said was really amazing. She said, no, it didn't burn me out because I was genuinely excited to wake up every morning and do my keyword research. I was really excited. I did my work at my job really well, but as soon as that was over, I was really excited to come back home to write more. So it was that joy and that genuine excitement that kept me going, and that didn't burn me out. I'm sharing all of this with you to not promote the hustle culture. I'm not saying that you have to keep working for 14, 16-hour days like every single day. However, like I said before, businesses run in sprints. And I found that when I know that this is going to be a sprint season for me, that I'm building something new, then it's much easier for me to just accept that I'm going to have longer hours. And it's a lot easier for me to then root myself into the genuine excitement and enthusiasm I have for creating this next new course or new product or the next launch that's coming up. Because I remind myself that I can do this, I can handle this, I have the capacity to do this, and I can do this while also taking meaningful rests and giving my body the rest and the nutrition and the hydration when it asks for it. So I think, running your business this way, it just doesn't come naturally because we're not taught how to handle intense spurts of work while also taking care of ourselves. But I think that with practice, if you know these seven truths and if you keep in mind all the reframes that I gave you for each of the truths, then I think it's possible for you to build your business and put in the long hours and still thrive. And at the end of the day, we need to remember that we're doing this because we have a vision, and we're doing it's like no pain, no gain. You know what I mean? um, so we are enduring the discomfort of the work right now, and we are embracing the exhaustion. And I think it's so good to be exhausted after doing work that truly fulfills you, because there are so many people on this planet that do get exhausted at a job that they're really unhappy about, and so they're basically just unhappy and exhausted all the time. But that doesn't have to be like that in our creative business. We get to do this work and we get to be fruitfully exhausted at the end of it. I hope I'm making sense. Now, if you want to see the exact four-phase launch system that I teach artists just like you to build up your course or your product launches, and that basically frees up time for you in the future by making your business more sustainable. The one that works for you, whether your next goal is $500, $5,000, or even $55,000, then I've made a free video for you. It's called the Artist Launch Blueprint, and inside it, you're going to learn how to grow a buyer ready email list so that even if your email list is small, it's filled with potential students who are a great fit for your course. How to pre sell your course before you even create it so that you validate it and you get paid upfront to invest in tech or support that you might need in your course building and your future launches. And how to launch profitably without any social media content burnout. The link's in the description, go grab it for free. And now that you know the honest behind the scenes of what launching really takes, I think you'll find my next video really helpful. Writing your launch Instagram posts. What? No. Can I please sit on this chair? Satsuni. Here, come here. You can sit here on the table right here. Okay. All right. You buy back your painting time. You get more painting time back. No. No. Your studio painting or making your product. Oh, I'm not able to like talk to makers. I'm guessing you're here to hear Satsu's purse and not really to learn about launching an art course. In which case, I don't blame you. All right. Welcome to my studio. When I'm opening up my courses for my online, when I'm opening. My God. Okay, truth number 6. And I really wanted to include this because, wait. All right, truth number 6. It might surprise you that I'm even admitting to this. Okay. Everybody tells you, oh, look how she's trying to get my chair. Okay. Collection of new paintings. Wait. That's the reality of it. No.